little pain here and there.
It's loading the bar now, so just a matter of time.
So we're all bellied up to the bar, huh?
Well, I don't know about all that, but hold on a second. All right, you can send the link now. You can send the link now. We are live on Sunday nights with those guys, and on the panel already we have, I can't get this to pop up. We have Herman, Phantom Flight 101, Kurt Dart, and Paul Merry, the epic man of all live streams. Okay, what's up, guys? How's everyone doing? Really?
Paul, I have burned that into you now. You're now saddled with that introduction forever.
Yeah, it's gonna stick with you no matter what. Anyway, we have Scott, and I can't think of the name. Someone help me out.
Scott Parazynski.
Scott Parazynski on tonight, and he's the creator of the FT Aviator joystick, and he's doing a lot of promoting for it. And I told him to pop in about 5 minutes after, which is good. I just wanted to make sure the stream was up and running, and give people a chance to pop in as well. Hey, Brand Ariels, what's going on? So, Paul, you doing any flying today?
Actually, I went down. I missed the ship. Every once in a while, the ship tracker is always behind. So right. I was dilly-dallying around and went down there just in time to watch it go by. So I went over, and what I did was they just launched a new ship cam on top of the convention center right down there south of the bridge. And so I flew that and did some reverses and all different kinds of things, kind of trying to promote it. And so I put it in a little video and posted that.
Okay. I actually saw Roger got a chance to fly too.
Yeah.
He got a chance. I saw his video. He's got a lot of property, but his neighbors would be pissed at me, man, because I'd be buzzing them every freaking day, because that's the only buildings around. What's up, Jay Santiago? Kurt.
I'm still not getting a link here.
You're still not getting a link here?
Yeah, I'm on Novice Squad.
I can copy the code right now, and I'll put it into that chat. I just need to open up a window real quick and do so.
Because when I type in Novice Squads on YouTube, I'm not getting anything either.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Well,
you don't have the show.
Well,
I just sent it in the in that actual FT Aviator interview chat. So
it takes a while for it to populate around everywhere.
Al Diaz, how you doing? How you doing?
What's up, Al Diaz? What's up? How are you? Everyone, this should be a very interesting night.
How's it going this evening?
Only because who we're gonna have? Who else we're gonna have on the panel? The creator / innovator of the FT Aviator. At any time that I hiccup or anything, I'm hoping that Kurt will be able to correct me if I say any wrong information or anything to that effect. But,
I'll jump in, not a problem. In fact, while I'm at it, let me grab a link for you guys, and so that you can kind of, if you haven't heard about the FT Aviator, it's made by a company called Fluidity Tech, and I'm going to pop that link in the convo right now. The innovator, the inventor of the FT Aviator is going to be coming on tonight, Mr. Scott Parazynski, and he's going to be telling us all about it.
All about it, as in, if you guys have any question related to this Aviator, what plastic it's made out of, how it links, tonight would be a great night to ask that question. I'm sorry, my daughter had called me, but I even have a few. Yes, I am. Yes. I'm sorry. I never get interrupted, Herman, any other time live stream, but tonight I am. But you know how that is. Mr. Crowley and his drone. As I was saying, if you guys have questions, Kurt, I'm going to do the same thing and take that link and copy it and just randomly blast it throughout the stream. So if anyone misses it, they can also click on it and see what we're talking about, etc. Don't leave the live stream now. Make sure you hang out. I told him to pop in 5 after. It's 4 minutes after. Being an astronaut, I would take it that he's prompt.
Oh, there's a countdown going on right now. It's like 5, 4, 3.
The buzzer goes off.
Before he goes on, I'm going to tell you guys, I told him offline a few days ago. I said, hey, I want you to add something to this. So you know how when you take off with your DJI product, there's a voice that talks to you, that female voice.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to switch out the FT Aviator and use NASA stuff. Houston, we are go for ignition. Oh, wait, Scott's here. Everybody quiet. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. Scott's here.
Don't say a word. Don't say a word.
I just thought it would be really, really cool. And most of that stuff is copyright free, so it wouldn't be that big of a deal to add that stuff in. But
I know, as a sound effect, right?
You know, the adult child in me wants that kind of stuff. You know, when you hit that auto takeoff, you want Houston, we are go for launch and take off. You know, I just think that would
be pretty hot, but that would have to be a custom pack that you'd have to add on. Hey, Scott, how are you? Welcome to Sunday Nights with those guys.
Good to be with you guys.
Hey, Scott, how's it going?
Appreciate you coming to our live stream. I know you've been doing a lot of live streams, getting the FT Aviator out there.
Appreciate it.
And
yeah.
We're actually a live stream based out of New York City, so we might cover different demographics, more like urban flyers.
Gotcha. I thought you might be from Australia or something like that. I couldn't tell from the accent.
I don't.
Before you say anything, Scott, I've got some folks from Australia lined up for you.
Oh, good. All right.
Yes. I wish I had an Australian accent. That would sound really good when I'm trying to talk to my wife and she's mad at me.
They get away with everything, don't they? That accent really helps for sure.
It does in any situation. But like I said, I really appreciate this. We're going to try and discuss everything related to your product, and the floor is yours. I mean, introduce yourself. However, we kind of ad-lib it here. We don't have our scripts written out and everything. What comes to head goes.
Life is unscripted, right?
It's supposed to be, because every time you script it, you go out of script anyway. Now, where are you from?
Yeah, so I was, my dad was in the Air Force when I was a little kid, so I was born in Little Rock, Arkansas. I spent all of 6 months there, but since that point, I've been on the go. So I've lived all over the States, lived overseas as a kid in West Africa, the Middle East, and in Europe, going all the way through high school. And now I'm in Houston, Texas. So I've been here for a long time with the space program initially, and now with my company.
Okay, I wanted to ask you something. I saw a video when you were demonstrating the FT Aviator at CES.
Yeah.
And did you ever in your wildest mind imagine you would be doing a CES show anywhere?
Well, I'm such a huge fan of, kind of the latest and greatest. I'm an early tech adopter. So I never had an excuse to go to CES. And this company has given me the opportunity now to go every year. And I love it. The problem is for me that I've got to be at our booth all the time. So I don't get a chance to kind of explore as much as I'd really like. But it's all, there's so much eye candy there. I love CES.
Well, you have to be at the booth at least until they perfect cloning.
That's right.
Either that or Scott, what you might, I'm Palmer anyway. You might,
hey, Paul.
What you might suggest to the CES people, they should have an hour window before where it allows all of the people that are the exhibitioners to go around and look around before the show opens.
You almost need a couple of days. I mean, it's just so vast, but you're right. I mean, even if I could look at the drone section for an hour, that would make a big difference. We were able to break free for a little bit and kind of take shifts, but I love CES. Are you from Canada? Do I see Tim Hortons in the background there?
Yeah. No, I'm right down the border. I'm in Port Huron. I'm just north of Detroit, and I'm in Michigan. So across from me would be Sarnia, Ontario.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, let me jump in here and kind of get you rolling here just a little bit. Most of the folks that are listening today are now familiar with the FT Aviator, and they've kind of seen it around, and we're going to go over, we're not going to pass up the basics here. But one of the things I haven't talked to you about in other streams was, where did you come up with this idea? When you first sat down, first of all, when did drones kind of come into your frame of view? And then when did you sit down and go, you know what, there's a better way to do this? At what point did all that kind of start clicking for me, or for you, I should say?
So are we live now? Or
Yes,
should I hold my response?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are live.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, well, great. Oh, cool. Well, actually, I was an early adopter of drones. I didn't have a Phantom 1, but I did have a Phantom 2, and I did all the mods to it to get the the video stream, the light bridge, and all that sort of stuff. I had the early toy drones, so anything that flies, I love. But the evolution of FT Aviator actually wasn't for drone flight initially. What I set out to do, actually, I saw how difficult and clunky surgical robotics was. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Da Vinci surgical robot, but it's amazing technology, but unless you're really, really proficient in it, and you do cases all the time, it's very, very difficult to do it efficiently, to have the same kind of outcomes as a master surgeon. So I thought there had to be a better way to move assets, a point of reference, whether it's a surgical instrument or a virtual reality simulation through space, better than what they were doing. So with all the stuff that I've flown, from aircraft and robotic arms to virtual reality simulators and drones, I figured a cool way to do it that ultimately became the FT Aviator. And when we were trying to build this company and fund it, we had to do market analyses, of course. And this drone marketplace is just going through the roof. There's just so much opportunity here to make it better, to leverage these assets in creative, important ways for society. So, and also the barriers to entry are a lot lower than getting through the FDA. It costs hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, to get anything through our FDA. So that's why we decided we're gonna build this technology for the drone industry to start, but we're gonna also be able to leverage this kind of technology in the not too distant future for computer gaming, for virtual reality, for ROVs under the ocean, helicopters, industrial cranes, and ultimately surgical robotics. So that's how it came.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
Because when I first saw it, I thought automatically, I said, why didn't they think of this in the first place? Because it's a whole lot easier than using two sticks than just to have one. But the thing what I was interested is when you came out with it and I saw how it worked, how it connected, why not eliminate the controller altogether?
Well, those are great questions. And first off, I'd say that oftentimes the best ideas that are out there, and they become part of our lives. We always say, why didn't we think of this years and years ago? And in fact, the very first radio controlled aircraft back in the 1930s looked not too much dissimilar to an Xbox controller or DJI controller. I mean, it's a couple of levers that you control the thrust vector, and so there had been really no innovation in over 80 years for RC flight, and so we made the quantum leap, and there is actually quite a bit of magic in the way that we control our thrust, the collective, if you will, for the joystick, and how we build it into the base unit. So there is some magic inside, mechanically and also in the software. But fundamentally, it's we should have had this 20 or 30 years ago. I agree. Getting rid of the joystick altogether is a bit of a tricky thing, and there have been a number of people that have come up with these gloves and accelerometer-based controllers. But they're all no offense to any other manufacturers out there, but they're crappy. I mean, they really stink, and the reason they do is because they have drift. So what you really need as a pilot is a reference to the 0 point. So with this thing, you always know where the 0 point is. So you come back to home, and you're not going to continue to move in that direction anymore. If you have an accelerometer or just a kind of a visual system with your hand, you can't ever get quite back to that 0 point. You don't have a physical reference, and that's where they all fail. And in flight terms, they're called dynamically unstable. It's kind of like balancing a stick on your hand. You can kind of do it for a little bit, but once you lose control of it, it very quickly falls off of your hand. Same thing happens to those kinds of controllers.
I was kind of.
What I was trying to say is that to eliminate the DJI controller altogether.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, so we would love to do that. And in fact, we've been in some conversations with DJI, and we think that is certainly technically possible to do so. And also, we're looking at other integrations with not Pixar. Pixar is the Disney movie folks. Pixar. Sorry.
Yeah, Pixar.
Yeah. See, I still have young kids, so yeah. So there are other ways in which we can talk to other drone systems as well, perhaps Autel and Parrot and so on.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because I said if DJI can come to you, Scott, and say, here's $6 million for your idea, I'm sure you wouldn't turn it down. But I would love to see the FT Aviator on other platforms as well.
Right.
Because if you can get it on DJI, everything else is a step down. Not to disrespect any other drone company, because there are other great drone companies out there, but it would be basically a step down, because right now DJI is the pinnacle of drones. They
own 70% of the market or so. You're right, but we want to see this as a platform for all drones, but also other things that we do in our technological world. That we're getting more and more robotics in our lives. We need to control these robotics in better ways, and so this is a really powerful human-machine interface, and we have big plans for this. For
Scott, my question would be: Are you getting any interest from secondary companies that make accessories for like DJI products? Like they make all kinds of different things for some kind of a plate to go underneath where you could mount it through the screw onto that, and then you could mount the controller there, and then have the tablet above it. So it'd be like one piece like this.
It's a great question, and actually, we're in the process of designing an exact solution that you described, to basically put a tablet right above the controller here, so you could, you wouldn't have any neck strap or anything like that. So we're working on that. We're also open to talking to other accessory manufacturers. We met some at CES. We've not actively pursued it yet, but we're all about collaboration. So if there are partners out there that want to talk to us, please reach out.
Well, here's one question, and I don't know if anyone's asked you this. So I'm hoping I'm the first to do it, but I've been big into video games. I used to do beta testing back in the 90s when you got paid to do it, until the college kids came out and said, we'll do it for free. Okay. Now, my nephew calls me the joystick killer, and I play Xbox, and on the average of every 4 to 6 months, I go through an Xbox controller.
Wow.
And I want to know, have you had enough data or information to tell how durable this is? I mean, material-wise, I know you said that other controllers are made out of crap, and I can honestly believe if you designed it, you probably put your foot into it. But I'm trying to find out, have you had any information? I mean, has it been out long enough for you to do any kind of statistics like that as far as durability?
Yeah, no, we put this thing through the ringer. We did life cycle testing, and you should see. I think we have on our one of our websites, we actually have some video of this thing getting cycle tested, but it's really aggressive. And basically, what we did is we put it through the equivalent of 1.5 years. Or thereabouts. It's hard to say what a year of heavy duty use would be like, but we calculated tens of thousands of cycles of each axis of each button, and we put it on these robotic machines, and it shook it around for several days, punched every button, and it passed with flying colors.
I'm glad to hear that, because you might want to step to some of these gaming companies and teach them how to make a controller, because I'm getting tired of getting insurance on a controller and every 4 to 6 months taking it back and getting a new one.
Yeah, Scott, you said you're working on adapting a tablet holder for that now? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes, sir. And we also have something we're going to probably have on our website pretty soon, and it's a neck strap that actually holds your tablet or iPhone right about here. And I really like this thing because it gives you the mobility, and it's quite comfortable on the neck. So I really prefer it. One of the things we need to do is actually get a few more photos of the different ways people have invented to carry our gear. But what I've preferred recently is I actually put my Inspire radio controller through a belt loop, and it's just kind of sitting on my waist. And I've got this neck strap where I have my iPhone. So I'm just flying this, open-handed like this, and it's awesome. And so I can run around with my drone, no problem. Other people like it on a tripod. Some people have developed this boom kind of system where they have their tablet mounted and their FT Aviator next to it. So people are really clever. No, people will find their own ways, but we want to share some of those different solutions.
Scott, I fly every day, and I've gone from the Inspires because I hate Lightbridge to OcuSync 2. So I fly the Mavic 2 Zoom. I fly the Mavic 2 Enterprise, and so I'm using a Crystal Sky, which is pretty heavy.
Yeah.
And so what I was thinking is if you could just mount that sucker right there, then I'd have it all right in front of me,
That's another cool solution. And, obviously we do have the quarter 20 on the base of this thing. So it'd be easy to create a little, table or platform to do just that. Yeah. And then have a couple of straps to, come down.
Scott,
just to make sure you don't drop it.
When you use the Aviator, when you demonstrate the Aviator, how do you use it? Personally?
So getting back to your question about the durability. So one of the things we do tell people is this is a precision flying instrument. So you don't want to in a gaming sense, a lot of times people kind of do hard deflections and be really rough with their controllers. This is not designed to be full on off kind of controls. It's a precision type of instrument. But if you fly it the way you would fly an aircraft, this thing will be with you for a long, long time. But I'm sorry, I got off on a tangent there. What was your question again? So sorry.
Which one? Who?
You.
Well, me. My concern basically was the durability because, like I said, I'm rough on regular gaming controllers, and you did say you had ran it through testing. And it seemed pretty durable. A year and a half testing. That pretty much answered my question. What is the battery life?
Yeah, so we scaled the battery for 5 hours of continuous use, which, if you're flying a drone, flying a full battery, coming back, changing out batteries, a full day of flying would probably professionally would be 5 hours in a day. What we found in our exhaustive testing is that the battery capacity will actually power this thing for 31 hours. Wow. So a lot longer than most people would ever consider flying. And if that weren't enough, you can actually fly it off of a brick. So it's got a USB-C on the back here, so you could even fly it.
Let me jump in here real quick with Scott. The one thing we haven't done just yet, there's a lot of people who still don't know what an FT Aviator is. So let's take this opportunity and explain what it is and what it does. Like I said, a lot of people here. Maybe not everybody's seen it. I know we've done quite a few interviews with you, but still not everybody knows about it. So if you can kind of take us from the very beginning of exactly what it does and kind of work through the controls and everything, that would be really helpful for a lot of folks.
Yeah, thanks, Curtis. Yeah, I'd be happy to. So the FT Aviator essentially puts all of the flight control degrees of freedom into one hand, typically your dominant hand. So if you're a righty, you put the control stick in your right hand. If you're a lefty, the opposite. And then you hold it in your non-dominant hand. And your non-dominant hand has control over the camera assets. So, the camera tilt, we have the ability to, take video, take photos, control the different camera parameters. You just press down on this little wheel here and scroll, and you can set exposure compensation, shutter speed, camera tilt velocities, and so on. This rotary right here, we can actually control the responsiveness of the stick. So you can actually make it really slow and controlled if you're doing an inspection or cinematography. Or if you want to get out to your work site really quickly, you put it up here at 5, and you can get out there at the full velocity of your drone and then slow it down to do your work. So we put a lot of thought into, well, here's 5, but we put a lot of thought into the needs of professional enterprise pilots, as well as amateur pilots who just want to go out and get really good video of their kid's soccer game or whatever it is. And so right out of the box, you're going to be able to have access to much higher quality video, because you can control this in a much smoother, easier way. So the flight control system is based off of the joystick here. So to climb, I'm going to pull up with my index finger, or I can pull up with my thumb. See how they're balanced there? So to climb, I pull up. To descend, I press down with my thumb. Then to go forward, I can move the stick forward, pull it back, move left, right. And then for yaw, the nose of the drone, I can just twist the stick. And so very quickly, your thumb tip becomes kind of the virtual nose of the drone. So anything that happens with my thumb tip, the drone's going to follow it. It's really neat. So after a while, flying almost becomes subconscious, and you're just out there focusing on what.
So basically, Scott, it's a much more precise flight pattern, where I know when I'm using the sticks, sometimes I'm varying off to the left and coming back to the right and all that kind of stuff. And it's just my hands, where with that, forward is forward, back's back, and it's not going to veer unless you want it to veer.
So basically, Scott, what you're saying is it will stop what I call carpal tunnel moment, where you're flying and all of a sudden carpal tunnel kicks in and your thumb twitches to the left or right,
You got it.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, we call another term for it is cross coupling. So yeah, you're right. When you're pushing your left thumb forward to ascend, your thumb oftentimes will drift a little bit to the left. You're going to get a little bit of a nose left, or your right thumb, you're going forward, you get a little bit of a drift to the right. Cross coupling or unintended motion. This device substantially limits that. You know exactly what you're doing at all the degrees of freedom of motion just by the feel in your hand. So you can be really pure in your commands. And so what's awesome is to get even just a novice out there who's never touched a drone in their lives, and within a couple of minutes of instruction, they're doing a perfect circle, and then a figure 8, and then an orbit. Just because this is an orbit, a little bit of a rock to the right and a little bit of a yaw, and that's a perfect orbit. That's all it is.
That goes into another question I had wanted to ask you. Does it, or are you possibly thinking about a master-slave mode to this joystick?
Well,
controller?
So we have the ability, say, in an Inspire series or Matrice series, where you have a primary and a secondary controller. We can fly the flight currently with our FT Aviator. The second or camera operator would be using the DJI radio for now, but we do hope to very soon code the ability to control the pan and tilt and camera assets with a second FT Aviator.
Well, but the Mavic 2 series now I've introduced where you can use 2 controllers and give it just like we could with the Inspires and the Matrices and those kind of things. Mm-hmm. So what you do is just have another controller and just let them use the wheels on the controller for the camera.
That's right. That's exactly the way it would work today. In the future, though, we hope to be able to have the camera controls through the FT Aviator as well on that secondary radio.
Okay, that's interesting.
What I experience a lot from flying is that sometimes that straight line that guys are trying to get, sometimes with the GPS lock on the drone, its straight line is a little different from the straight line that you want, and you're constantly correcting it, and you can notice it if you're videoing that the GPS lock, sometimes its straight line is a little different from the straight line that you want. Mm-hmm. Your controller, now I can understand what you were saying about the preciseness of it, but how much of it does it take away from that GPS lock to be able to really actually get into it? Because I noticed that sometimes I just want to take it out of GPS because it does that so much.
Well, so our controller is pure, so it will command exactly what you want. So if you want a straight forward trajectory, it's going to give it to you. Now what I will say is if there's a crosswind or something like that, there may be some, DJI GPS mode course correction that it puts in there. I don't want to misspeak. I don't know exactly how that would all.
How the drift correction works on the control in the copter itself.
Right. But our command is pure. So I mean, if you want to go straight ahead, it's going to output pure straight ahead, and the drone should follow. You may see some drift based on crosswind or something else. But
that's expected. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott, Rick Halber in the chat is asking a question that I know you've been asked 100 times, and I know you wish you had an answer at this particular moment. But how long before it's working with the Crystal Sky monitor?
Well, today it is, with a caveat. So if you're a professional drone pilot, you're working in a crew, a 2-person crew, the camera operator can have Crystal Sky. So the master controller would be flown with the FT Aviator. The secondary radio with the Crystal Sky could be observed and used by the secondary pilot, the camera operator pilot. We do hope to be able to make it possible for the first pilot to also use Crystal Sky. But the challenge for us, quite honestly, is we have our own app. We have an iOS or Android app and it'll be very familiar to any DJI pilot because we use the software developer kit that DJI has developed, so that our display is really clean. It's really intuitive to use, but we have to run our app to access the feature set of the FT Aviator. Crystal Sky works on an Android platform as well. So we have to figure out a way to sideload our app onto Crystal Sky Crystal Sky.
Or in the future, Scott, it would be a perfect world scenario if DJI says, yeah, we're going to put it in the app for you guys to go ahead and just select it.
We would love that. We want to have that conversation with them. That's right.
Scott, hey, Mike Roach, what's going on?
Evening, Mike.
We had actually asked Mike Roach to come in because Mike Roach is handicapped and he flies and
he's in a wheelchair.
Does some really incredible videography work.
Hey, Mike.
He's got a great sense of humor too.
And I think yes. We have to keep the reins on him. I don't know if he can hear us yet, but we have to keep Mike Roach focused.
All right, Mike.
Hello. Sorry I'm late, guys.
No, don't worry about it, Mike. I'd rather you late than never. One thing I had wanted to ask you real quick, Scott, and that is, you do know you're creating a new way to fly. You're taking the two-handed controller and you're taking a new concept and you're making a new concept by creating the single yoke controller. Has anyone mentioned or confronted you on that, or have you heard anything?
Oh no, it's one of those things where we have to educate our customer base, and that's why it's so great to connect with you guys and other YouTubers to kind of get the word out. But we are reinventing the way people move through space, and what's really exciting is for experienced pilots, this gives them an opportunity to fly with greater precision and really focus on getting the video that they want. For folks with physical disabilities, we've seen really wonderful responses because one of my friends, his name is Miles O'Brien. He now works for PBS. He used to be on CNN, but he lost his arm in an accident. He loves to fly, and he has a tough time. He's got to do iterative things, with his DJI controller. Now he's going to be able to fly in a single hand. And we've had some folks just recently in Norway. This gentleman who had sustained a stroke, he's now flying with the FT Aviator.
Yeah, Stig's friend. Yeah.
Mike,
it's really rewarding.
Mike, maybe you could explain to Scott your disability and how you fly, what you have to do to fly.
Yeah. Hi, Scott. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Well, the way I'm a quadriplegic from a spinal cord injury at about the C5-6 area. So I'm paralyzed essentially from the chest down with limited arm and finger use. In other words, I can use my tricep but not my bicep, and I can flex my wrist, but I don't know. I can extend my wrist, but I can't flex my wrist, and that sort of thing. And my fingers are pretty much paralyzed. But I fly now using the DJI Smart Controller with the sticks, which works out pretty well, especially since there are so many automated features and things like that. But this is a compelling product, and I've seen enough about it to get the gist of, the different movements, how to yaw, how to move sideways, forwards, and then the trigger to move up and down. And like you said, with that quarter 20 underneath the bottom, you can pretty much then create any kind of mounting system.
That's right.
I myself have used some just off-the-shelf camera accessories from Manfrotto to mount a super clamp to my wheelchair armrest, and then have a rig coming over that holds my smart controller or my phone with the controller over it, and it's like having a tripod. There literally is a tripod head on it with a quick release right in my lap. So that really works out well for me. I could easily see a system where you could have your phone with the controller, the DJI controller, which you need to keep that with it, right?
We do. So we're wired from we're Bluetooth from the FT Aviator to your phone, and then wired from the phone to your DJI radio.
Right.
Yep.
Does your phone hook to the DJI controller using the little side wire, or does it have to use the other USB port?
It can use either. Yeah,
okay.
It's possible to use either.
Okay. Yeah, because the way I set my phone up in the tripod head, I have a iPhone cell phone holder, and then the DJI controller just goes right over it. All becomes one thing.
Yep.
And connect. And I could see just having a side mount, another tripod head, say, for the for your controller.
Aviator, right? Yeah. So you could use the integrated DJI radio with its smartphone holder, and keep that as a unit, and then you would have this on a mount
right
to the side. Yep.
Yeah.
I'd love to get your feedback once you've had a chance to try it.
Right. Yeah. And does it totally override the controller? In other words, do the sticks at all work on the controller while that controller is working?
No, so it's either or, and you can swap it on the app. There's a little toggle, so you can go from FT Aviator control back to DJI radio mode, but you wouldn't have the DJI sticks hot at the same time that the Aviator was flying.
Okay.
Yep.
Mike, do you see? You've seen the controller. Can you see, with your limited mobility in your hands, would you be able to grip it, do you think, and do that? Or
yeah, I think based on experience, I mean, it's an individual case thing. I could see myself getting my hand around it, and even being able to wiggle, even though I can't move my thumb per se, being able to wiggle my thumb up into the joystick top there, and with my trigger finger, it would be a try it and feel it kind of thing. I could see the yaw and being possible, giving a twist, depending on how much friction I would have in my grip. It would really be a matter of getting my hands on one and being able to try it. So but it looks like a pretty cool way to fly, and I'm glad it's Bluetooth, it's not another wire.
Yes.
Well, that's crucial. I also had a question about the actual app. Now, sure. I know you had to contact DJI somehow to get permission to use some similar function to the app. I guess I don't know how to word it, but I'm trying to. How is your app so close to the DJI? Not close, but how is your app almost compatible to the DJI app? I know you have the same functions, etc., in the app. Maybe I'm not wording it right. Kurt, maybe you can help me.
I can explain that. So DJI creates a product called the SDK, and the SDK is something that they put out.
I get it. I get it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, so we use the mobile SDK, so the mobile software developer kit. DJI is very interested in evolving, what's possible with drones, and so and many drone companies are this way. They're trying to, kind of invent the future, and the way that they do that is they leverage the broader community to come up with cool solutions, and we think this is one of them. And so they make available their software developer kit. So we're able to talk to the whole DJI ecosystem, everything from the
That's
Navigator.
what I wanted to know. That's what I wanted to know. I didn't know how to word it.
It's a good question, and so we can fly everything from the Mavic Air up to the Matrice 600, and in fact, we've even coded for the Spark and for the Tello, but we're not able to offer that at product release. But we have the ability to fly pretty much everything that's in the air these days.
So basically, with a couple of firmware updates, you will eventually be able to control anything DJI.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay, that's very good to know, because someone earlier in the chat room did ask. Sorry, Herman. Someone did ask in the chat room, does it work with a Spark? Go ahead, Herman.
Scott, I wanted to ask you this. I like that idea of with the app, because there are companies like what's that one that a lot of guys, Lychee.
Oh yeah.
Lychee has their app, but there's a lot of things on Lychee that I wish DJI had. And is there any of those kind of features in your app? Because I haven't got a chance to use it yet. But is there any of those, like, because I know a guy that uses Lychee all the time, and it constantly tells him his altitude instead of him having to look down, and it's always telling him his battery and everything like that. How much are there any of those fancy features in your app?
There are a lot of them, actually. And unfortunately, I've got an Inspire 1 over here, but it's not powered up, and I don't want to take the time to do it. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that you can see on the fly here that would appear. And I'll just show you. This is the app itself. So it looks relatively familiar.
Let me spotlight you so you can go ahead. You're spotlighted.
Okay. Yeah. So, and I know it's a little blurry, but up here would actually be a row of camera features here. So it would actually show you your ISO setting, your f-stop, shutter speed, exposure compensation, and camera tilt responsiveness. And so with this little scroll wheel here on the fly, you can press that and rotate the wheel and adjust those things on the fly. So as you're, instead of stopping your flight and adjusting your camera, you can do it as you're flying out to your scene. So it saves time, it saves battery capacity, and it's just really cool to be able to do it without dropping down into the app. Okay. So that's one of the cool features. We have some other things that we're not ready to talk about yet that will be potential software updates to this, but by and large, it's a really simple, intuitive interface. We have it for both iOS and Android. We have firmware on the FT Aviator. We can update that via Bluetooth, so it takes about 30 seconds.
Okay.
So,
well, Scott, I think it's fantastic that your company is on the cutting edge of this innovation, and you are committed to continue to make it even better, not at a snail's pace, but at a rabbit track.
You got it.
I wanted to speak about that as well. The speed mode of Turtle Rabbit. I had saw that in one other company, one other drone company that's irrelevant. But the first time I had seen it, I said that is one of the best ideas. The fact that you have to go into your software with other platforms and change your speed manually and stuff like that. That Turtle Rabbit mode was like the icing on top of the cake.
It really helps a lot. So, I mean, if you're trying to do something really precise, I mean, you want to dial it down, dial the responsiveness down, and really get that smooth shot. And that you see a lot of amateur video, and it's really herky jerky, and it looks like it looks like crap initially until people kind of learn how to be smooth with their drone. But with this, I mean, it's almost like cheating. You can get out there quickly, and then you dial it down, and you immediately get really nice smooth video, which is cool. If you don't mind, one of the things I didn't point out is also to help people's situational awareness. I didn't talk about this earlier, but up here at the top of the display, there are.
Hold on a second. Let me spotlight you real quick so everyone can see
sure.
what you're talking about. Go ahead. You're good.
Yeah. So at the head of the device, there's actually a set of LEDs that, let me see if I can get it powered on here. So since I'm not connected, I'm not going to be able to keep those LEDs lit, but there's an array of red LEDs that show you your azimuth or where it is on the horizon, your drone. So it happens, you lose sight of it, low contrast, or you drop near some trees and it's tough to see your drone. You can actually pick it out so you can point towards your drone, and then the inner array of LEDs gives you your relative yaw, so you can straighten out your drone and then pull it straight back home instead of hitting the panic button, which is the return to home. We have that too. You can go panic mode here and press return to home, but you don't want to do that. That's poor form. So it gives you a lot of situational awareness of where your drone is in the sky and how to get it back home safely. And we think that's
and especially, Scott, I think that would be very helpful for, especially if you're doing videography and you're looking down at your screen to make sure you got a frame rate, whatever. So you're not really looking at the drone, and then you can look at that pad and say, okay, but it's over here,
Yeah.
Right. If we're all going to be completely honest, we take our eyes off your Mavic against a row of trees, and it's tough to find again, unless you got a strobe or something on it. We did see the LEDs flash when you powered it on there, and I get the gist of what it would do. I see what you're saying. We would show you the directional position and then your yaw on the inner ring. That's
right.
That's right.
You actually do have a video on your website, which I'm just keep posting randomly, where you actually show the controller and you can see the directional arrow as to what area, general idea where the drone is in perspective. In perspective to where.
And that would actually change as you pivoted your body and that controller, right?
Yeah, if you spin it around, it's gonna follow.
Well, see, I seem to like that feature because Herman, Phantom Flight 101, he doesn't stand still when he flies. He'll be standing next to me on my side here, and then when I look up, he'll be back here somewhere. But that's because of an issue he has with his leg. But have you personally? Well, here's a diverse from the subject, but not exactly diverse from the subject. How does it feel to enter a room and know you're the smartest one in the room? I mean, what do you go? Do you go, here we go, or?
Oh, I can answer that, Lawrence.
No, that's not me.
I didn't think that you were that kind of person. I've watched a lot of your interviews. You're very, very direct and very focused, and I pray like hell. I see in the New York Times fluidity brought out by DJI, So
you and me both.
and something you failed to mention, and I know you might have mentioned it in a few other live streams, but this is built and made in America.
Yes, it is. So we have our print circuit boards and final assembly here in the United States. All of our software built and maintained in the U.S., and it's likely to stay that way for the foreseeable future.
So also the customer service.
Excuse me a second.
Yes.
Built and made in America. I'd like you to see your company continue and do controllers for other things other than drones too. Because I when I first saw it, I was like, why didn't people think of this years ago? I'm like, it's just common sense. The two-stick thing, it was always something you had to get used to.
Well, yeah. There are obviously some amazing pilots, and probably you guys too, that can do these incredible things with the twin sticks, and you see drone racers, and they're doing just unbelievable things with drones. So you can train yourself to do that, but unless you have a lot of proficiency of flying all the time, you're never going to be able to keep that skill. And if you're flying in a dynamic, unscripted environment like police, fire and rescue, search and rescue, or in an urban environment, in a pinch, if something bad happens, you want to have the ability to have flying almost subconscious, and that's where I think we really add a lot of value, even to especially to professional pilots, but also to amateur pilots. Gives you just a lot more capability.
Have you tried, Scott, or is there a way to perhaps use goggles with?
Yeah, so any drone that's compatible, DJI drone that's compatible with the DJI goggles, you can just continue to fly that way. So the Mavic series and the Inspires, they work really well with DJI goggles. So
and that's you mean wirelessly, right?
So I don't want to misspeak. So I have to look at my data grid, but I think the Inspire requires a wired connection, if I'm not mistaken.
So you can do either or, depending on the drone?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, here's something I don't think anyone's ever asked you. What drone do you fly?
I am so lucky, guys. I get to fly everything. I've flown the Tello around the office, and I've flown the M600 like a fighter jet, across the skies. I get a kick out of flying all these different aircraft. One of the things that we have to do is we have to test to make sure that this product works across the entire DJI Air Force, and so we get a chance to do that.
Scott, in all of your travels and all of your flight time, what I'm noticing, and the reason that I got rid of my Inspires because of the light bridge, is that this electronic bubble keeps growing and growing in the society. Now cars have it, and houses, people walking around with 6 or 8 devices on them that all have this bubble going on. And do you see any long-range solution to that?
Oh gosh, that's a kind of a deep techno-philosophical question there. I don't see anything imminent, quite honestly. I think we're probably going to get to a tipping point, and then we'll react to it, unfortunately. But yeah, you're right. I mean, one of the most interesting experiences I've had is actually trying to set up our flight demonstration cage at CES, and we rely upon Bluetooth to fly drones, right? Yeah. And there's more Bluetooth in the Las Vegas Convention Center than any place in the world during CES, and so it's very challenging.
Above and Beyond in the chat room wants to know, does it fly with the Matrice series?
Yes, it does. Beautifully.
There you go. There you go. That's. Yep. You say you fly the M600 like a fighter jet?
It's so cool.
I'd love to see that footage one day.
Oh my God. I think we may have posted some of it.
On your personal page, there's a couple of videos.
Yeah, I was out in San Diego. We work with some really wonderful talents out in San Diego at Spark Creative, and they are kind of our leads for the app development. And so Radley and team have a beautiful M600 that we do all of our testing on that platform. And just a couple weeks ago, I was out there, flying over the water, and it screams across the sky, and it turns on a dime. It's really beautiful.
Gulfstream wanted to know if you had spoke about shipping. You did not speak about it, so I guess this would be a great time for you to speak about shipping from Fluidity.com. And
yes, yeah, thanks. We are shipping product as we speak. We're fulfilling our first pre-sales right now, so we're on to our 3rd pallet of product going out the door, and we should be all caught up in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So we'll be able to ship almost real time or week of. But we're shipping product now, and it's really exciting to get that early feedback from thought leaders like you guys and some of our first Kickstarters who have received their product already. And
Scott, Curtis mentioned that you personally test all of those units before they go out off your loading dock.
Either myself or others of my team, but I've spent hundreds of hours flying this product. So each device before it goes off the shipping dock is flown by 2 of our pilots. And we won't always do that. but it's so important that this be
Get it
a
right.
really wonderful flying experience right out of the box for people. So just to make sure, that all their tolerances are right. This is a very complex product. Doesn't look like it's, that big or, complex, but all the stuff that's inside it is pretty complicated, and we want to make sure that it's really dialed in for people. So we are doing that.
So Scott, ordering today, right, in the Northeast in New York City, what's the expected shipping?
Gosh, I'm going to put a ballpark out there, but I would say 2 to possibly 4 weeks, maybe less than that. But we only had 3 working days last week to produce product, so that was kind of a slow production week. We're going to hit it hard the next several weeks to kind of finish up our pre-sales and then kick out product to our
Well, Scott, it's got to be safe to say, as new company, just like anything else, you're ramping up production and shipping. It's like you don't know what you're going to ship until people start ordering.
That's right. And the other thing that was, a learning process for us, but we had to get our product to a FedEx fulfillment center and then have ourselves kind of onboarded into their facility. And that took longer than we thought. Every step along the way to actually get the shipment out of the plant to actual putting it in a box and sending to customers took a little bit longer. So this is a complex product, but also a process, in fulfillment. We think we've got it, dialed pretty well now, and so we expect to be able to turn around shipments not only through sales through our website, but ultimately we'll be selling through Amazon and probably a drug distributor.
Scott, we have a tradition here. We usually have a little drop or promo that we do that everyone participates as a guest. Okay, so I want to eventually one day screenshot all of these, and we have a little thing where we go, Sunday Nights with Those Guys is sponsored by, and we hesitate for half a second and go, those guys. I would really love for you to participate in that so I can take that and post that somewhere.
Sunday Night with Those Guys is sponsored by?
We go, Sunday Nights with Those Guys is sponsored by, hesitate for half a second, those guys.
All right, okay.
We'll give you a test run and we'll take the good one out of it. Okay. Here we go, guys. Sunday and Kurt, on time today.
Okay, I'll do it on time.
Okay. Sunday Nights with Those Guys is sponsored by
Those guys.
There you go. That's all you got to do. Okay. You ready, Scott?
I was born ready, guys.
Okay, here we go. Sunday Nights with Those Guys is sponsored by
Those guys.
Thank you very much. Very much appreciated.
No, did you want me to do that solo or with you guys?
No, with us, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't do that. Okay, I thought you wanted me to tape it solo. Okay.
It's
Let's
okay.
go. Let's go again.
All right, here we go. Last time. Sunday Nights with Those Guys is sponsored by
Those guys.
Thank you very much. That was it. That made my night.
All right.
Thank you.
I mean, it may seem it's the little things in life that make
You
us.
bet. I totally get it.
One of them.
Got
Now,
one
I
quick
also
question.
wanted to ask you. I know we're coming up on an hour, and your time is limited, etc. Hey, Twan, sorry I missed your call. We were live streaming, but I want to know: do you plan on focusing on certain demographics in sales? I mean, like right now, I would take it that you're doing very well or decently here in the United States. What are future plans, and what demographics do you plan on attacking? Basically.
Yeah, good question. So right now we're shipping domestically only, but we should have our CE mark relatively soon, and so we'll be able to ship to European countries as well as Japan, Australia, and New Zealand, and Canada. So that's kind of third quarter of this year that we expect to be able to do that. And then as demand grows, we think that there's quite a bit of demand in Central and South America, actually. So we have one partner that's involved in public safety aviation, which is a big demographic for us, we think, that would like to help us bridge that gap. They may help us get this for key countries in Central and South America. But to answer your question more broadly, anyone who's serious about flying drones in dynamic, unscripted environments with a serious drone, is going to love this product. And so, whether you're a cinematographer, real estate, public safety, this allows you to reduce the training time needed to get proficient, and also to be able to get better, quality video. So one of my passions actually is using drones for good. And so I think that these tools should be in every fire rig, every police car, every search and rescue crew ought to have drones. It shouldn't be just one or two people in the firehouse that have access and training to do it. You get out there before you send people into harm's way. You fly over it, see where the best place to go is, and then send people in. I think that probably the military will have a lot of value out of this as well.
I was thinking about asking you that, and I know, I don't know, but I was hoping that the military or somebody would approach you with a check, like Publishers Clearinghouse, and you'll be able to just
those giant checks.
Yeah.
Come right up to your door.
And McMahon.
Better. And I want to let you know, I appreciate you ever so much for visiting Sunday nights with those guys. And I was told not to go past like the hour mark with you. And I can understand that because I get a little long-winded myself. And I know you do a lot of these interviews, and you also have a social and family life. So if you guys in the chat room have a question, ask it now. Anyone on the panel have any questions?
Mike, you wanted to make a statement?
One quick question. What is the approximate distance for the Bluetooth? Obviously, it would be fairly close, but what is the range of the Bluetooth?
I think it's advertised at 16 feet. But you probably are most likely to have your radio and your smartphone right next to you, because you're going to be looking at your video screen anyway. So as long as you're typically it's just a few inches. So we don't have any latency issues at all. It's sampling at 100 milliseconds, so 100 hertz. So it's very responsive without any delays.
All right.
Where is the manufacturing done?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike. What did you say, Mike?
Which states is the manufacturing done?
Yeah. So final assembly is done in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
We have a contract manufacturer that we work with that has a major facility there. So I'm actually going there Tuesday to fly all day Wednesday and Thursday, because we've got a lot of product to catch up on. So I spend a lot of time down there.
Good to hear.
Well, I appreciate it ever so much. I'm going to spotlight you again. If you want to do a drop for your website and everything else, now would be the time. Now would be your time. I think I'm all questioned out. I hope I didn't.
Well, there is one other good question from Flight Fanatics. What is the battery life on this, Scott?
Yeah, so it's designed to. It's a 1500 milliamp hour battery, designed for 5 hours of continuous use. Actually, in testing, it'll last for 31 hours, though. I mean, it's way over spec, quite honestly. But if that weren't enough, if you're going to fly 32 hours, for example, you could actually fly it off of a brick using the USB-C. So you can fly it to your heart's content.
I can't imagine flying for 31 hours, not a drone anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris Hope, what's up? Welcome to Sunday Nights with those guys. Well, I want to thank you very, very much.
Really
Scott,
enjoyed it.
I'm going to say Scott P, because I couldn't say your name if I was drinking tequila. I tried, and we were on, Herman and Kurt and I, and he said it, and I said it 3 times. When I study, I repeat something 3 times, and I said, and there's Scott, and I can't get it out.
I can't even spell it. It's complicated. I know it's a tough name.
Now, the one last thing before you go, Tuan Lee in our chat, he's here in New York with us. He's pretty much our DJI or non-DJI certified repairman here in New York. Okay, and he was going, how can he get a discount on it? Right now, Tuan, there are no discounts. If you didn't catch the pre-sale price for $300, you got to kick out that $450. So stop being cheap and just order it.
Well, there is one special that we have right now. It's not on the price of the Aviator, but on the Pelican case. So we have a really nice Pelican case that is catered to the, it's got a specially configured cutout for it. So that's I think $40 off. So in a bundle, we do have a special on that, and there's also a soft case if you wanted to go that route.
And when it comes, Scott, does it come with that little connector for putting a phone on it, the small?
Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't even show you guys that. So yeah, it does.
Hold on, let me feature you so you can get so everyone can see that.
Yeah. So it comes with this smartphone adapter. So you fit your smartphone in the side here, and then basically you rock it in like this, and that's how you. I don't know if you can see that. Get it away from it.
There it is. That's good.
Yeah. Yep. So all this comes with it, and then there's actually a couple other things that ship with it. There's a special strap that you can put around your Mavic Series radio, and it has a little hole here so that you can actually access the USB port. And it comes with a lanyard that you can hook your DJI radio onto if you want to fly it that way. So lots of different options.
Yeah, that's cool.
Scott, I appreciate it ever so much. I keep saying it, but I'm glad I actually got to do this. But I'm going to let you know, Billy Kyle is supposed to have an interview set up. You're supposed to have one set up with him. Great guy from Philadelphia, really great character. His sidekick, Ken Adobo, that's supposed to be coming to Houston to do a hands-on, I believe.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Watching. He's another great guy. Now, I'm waiting to see that one. I'm sorry. Someone's knocking on the door. I'm being distracted. My wife is kicking the door in. Give me a second.
Uh-oh.
Sherman, you want to help me out here?
Yeah, Scott, I'm really interested in this thing, and I really hope it takes off for you. Because
Thanks,
like
Sharon.
I told you before, when I first saw it, I really said, when I first saw it with Curtis on Curtis' show, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. I heard of this, but somebody told me it was something that they saw one time, and I was like, wait a minute, no. Is it out? Is it available? And I got to jump on this. I have to.
That's awesome. Well, we're out. We're ready to support the world, and we hope that it's going to be the way that people control drones in the future. To use the twin sticks doesn't make sense anymore. This is so much more intuitive, more precise, and it's also just a lot more fun. I think once you get your hands on it, Harmon, you'll see. I mean, it's like your Luke Skywalker, flying around space. It's really cool.
No, I got it. I totally got it, because that's why I always say, why not that? Why the sticks? Why not that? Yeah,
that's the one thing I keep hearing from my guys, Scott, and you as well as is my guys keep saying it's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Really
so guys that have been flying for years and years and years, and they're used to picking up the sticks, when they picked up this for the first time and started flying with it, they're all like, "This is fun." So yeah, it puts a little bit of the fun back into it, especially for guys that are seasoned and kind of, oh yeah, here we go again, new drone, whatever. This kind of puts a little bit of the fun back into it.
Right on.
And one more thing, Scott, from my perspective as a person with finger dexterity trouble, it would be an individual case scenario, obviously, for every different person, in terms of, someone like myself has to substitute muscles, in order to get certain motions in. And so it would be, really person by person in terms of who would be able to use it. And use all the functions for the thing. But I'm going to study it carefully. I'll watch the videos, and certainly when Ken Dobo gets his hand on it, he usually does a really good job of showing things. So I'll be checking that out. And I would be interested.
Well, thanks, Mike. And I'd love to get your contact information and see if there's some things that adaptations we might be able to make to the stick. Maybe there's additional, we could 3D print something that would, give you a better purchase on a different part of the stick so that you could get the the up and down, the equivalent of the up and down. If you don't have that mobility in your thumb, maybe we can think of some other way to give you that. I'd love to be able to make it adaptable to individual needs.
Right.
One of the other things that we're looking into, and we're not sure right off the bat if we're going to be able to do this, we can't take advantage of Siri. Basically, that it doesn't work well for controlling apps, but there may be some other third-party software we can leverage, such that if you only have access to, say, one hand, and you can't use your other hand to start, stop video, or change the camera, maybe we could create some voice actuation to change settings, to start, stop video, take photo, things like that. And so we're trying to find ways to make this truly something that you can put in a quarter 20 and fly it in a single hand, and with voice actuation get the full feature set of the controller.
Where were you when I first started flying drones? Because you make flying drones sound so sexy with that controller. I mean, you're talking about, now you're getting me even more excited talking about possible voice interaction. That would just make my head explode right there. It really would. It really would. I wish you
tell all your friends.
Huh?
Tell all your friends.
I'm trying. I'm working on it. Twan says he wants one. The Flight Fanatics, he wants one. I posted the link. I hope people that watch this live stream after it's saved to YouTube, I know people are going to be interested. And I really appreciate what you're doing for us drone flyers there as a third party person to DJI. And you know as well as we do, DJI doesn't accept anyone. Okay, Mike Roche, please type your your email to Kurt, and Kurt will get the information to Scott. Scott, I need to let you get out of here because I wanted to stay within the timeline, and we're actually 11 minutes over.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. It's been fun hanging out with you guys. You guys are a lot of fun, and it's been a great discussion, and I really appreciate you guys sharing.
God bless you, Scott. God bless you. You're doing some fantastic things.
Now, as much as I wanted to get into the NASA stuff, I was told just chill. We got to put this controller out there, and you might want to come to one of our live streams in the future, because Herman has an idea for us drone pilots. Right now, we're not being represented in Washington, and you would be a great figurehead for us.
Well, let's stay in touch. Absolutely.
Yeah. Kurt, I'll fill you in on it, but that's the gist of it. Right now at these symposiums, these drone symposiums, the AMA, the hobbyist is not being represented.
And the FAA, yep.
I know you have your hands in a lot of pots, but further on down the line, you got to hear what Herman has to say about this in the future.
We'll do it.
If we can even do a chat offline sometime when you're free, or however, Kurt, we'll communicate through Kurt, because without him, we wouldn't have been in contact with you.
Well, I appreciate Curtis a lot. No, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to all of you guys. It's been a fun session, and I like I said, I really appreciate you guys helping us get the word out to as many people as possible. And I'd love to come back at some other time and talk with you again.
Definitely. I don't know if you were actually in the chat. Were you able to type in the chat room?
No, I've only had one screen up.
Okay, and when you come back, we have to give you a blue wrench, because most live streams make everyone a moderator. The only way you can be a moderator on our live stream is to be on the panel.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But thank you very much 1,000 times over, and thank you for Fluidity and the FT Aviator. I can't say it enough.
Exciting. It's exciting to have it out there, and I can't wait to get your feedback on it once you get a chance to fly it.
You will definitely will, because a lot of people out there, we're urban flyers here in New York, so we have skyscrapers and other obstacles to fly around, and I could see some buildings I would really have fun flying with that controller.
Look forward to seeing the video. That's awesome.
Okay, thank you much.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye,
Scott. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
The live stream is not over, guys. Scott has a schedule to fill, so we're going to still be on. That was very, very entertaining, and I'd like to thank you a lot, Kurt, Mike Roche, especially Paul and Herman for being there, because I don't think I would have had enough questions and
Well,
things
the
to ask
the
them
only
about
thing
it.
I regret at this point, Lawrence, is I wanted to tell Scott that what Curtis's nickname is the Wizard. So I didn't get a chance to do that.
Mike, I can't. Let me interrupt you just for 1 second, Paul. Mike, I can't make any promises just right yet, but I have talked with Carolyn and I've talked with Scott about this. You're in our target zone right there. We're gonna do something. We just got to figure something out here real quick. But we're definitely aware of your situation, and we want to get something to you. Just I can't make promises,
Right.
but
Yeah.
you coming on tonight was great, and discussing your handicap is we want to make this an inclusive hobby, and Scott is very, very aware of that, and he's very in tune with that, and that's one of the major things that he wants to do.
Mike would make a great benefit as part of the handicapped advisory.
Exactly,
Mike,
I've
do
dealt
me a
with
favor.
people, many situations, many different type of handicapped people in my working life. And I could give you not only feedback for myself, but potentially for what some other people may or may not be able to do.
Mike,
But
1
I
second.
definitely will be glad to almost be like a beta tester and, give as much feedback in terms of the tactile aspects of it as I could. So I'm with you, Curtis, on that, and I'll be patient, but I am interested.
Mike, if you can, if you move the mouse to the lower part of the Zoom box, you'll see a little chat. Kurt wants you to type your email there so you two can interact as far as
you
see
have
where
it,
it
don't
is?
you, Curtis?
I have it with about 20 other ones. I want to make sure I have the right one. I don't want to send it to 20 other guys.
Right.
Okay. And I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everyone that was in the chat room, keeping the chat room going. Gulfstream, I've never seen you here before, and I appreciate your support and input. They'll be posting video 30 minutes after it arrives. Oh, much appreciated. Very much appreciated. I think we covered a decent conversation as far as how it works and getting the FT Aviator out there. So I appreciate everything you guys did tonight very much.
Seems like there's some repeat questions from stuff we covered earlier, but
yeah, that's going to happen. That's going to happen with a live stream repeatedly. That does happen. I mean, that's why I just kept putting the link in.
Exactly. I think most of you guys, some of you guys that are joining us late, we can either re-answer the questions or you can kind of go back and watch watch Scott give the actual answers, which I think is a better way to do it.
The one question, Curtis, though, that is in my mind, and I brought it up in the chat, in the discussion, was how to mount it. So there's 3 ways or more to use it. One is hold it, cradle it, and then use it that way. Second way is he has a mount that comes with it, so you can put a phone on it, and then you can use it and cradle it, and the phone is off on the side.
And then there's tabletop.
They're developing a way to put an iPad on it. So there's going to be some other kind of an adaptation for a holder. So there's lots of things going to come out for it.
Unfortunately, I'm not able to display everything that I've seen because of NDA.
That's understandable because
But I can tell you that Mike Roach is right on track with some of his solutions that he's used from B&H and different photography companies. There are some quick solutions in the background that they are coming up with that are going to become more of a permanent solution that you would purchase directly from Fluidity. So there's some stuff being worked up, and it's being what they call rapid prototyping, and they're using off-the-shelf photography stuff to make things happen. And based off of that, they will build something themselves.
Well,
Gulfstream,
it does have a tripod mount on the bottom, the 1/4-inch tripod mount, so you wouldn't have a problem putting that joystick on a tripod.
Yes, no, exactly.
Right. Once you get a 1/4-20 in there, you really have an awesome amount of options. Everything from a wheelchair to a standard tripod, in every angle conceivable.
Well, I like the direction that it's going. I'm glad we got to actually have him on this live stream because he is hitting a different type of demographics. I mean, Sunday nights with those guys are a bunch of New York flyers and the people that are in the chat room are of course diverse, but there are people who actually watch this live stream here in New York after we've gone live. I
Well,
wish they would come in. I wish we could get them to come in, but as long as they watch it, who the hell cares?
Lawrence, you got really excited when he talked about they're working on voice-activated
Oh
assistant.
yeah,
Yeah, me too.
You know, I could see with that joystick. Come here, you sexy thing, you.
Wait a minute. Do I need to leave the room? Is that it?
No, not
Well,
yet.
it's funny you mentioned that though, Paul. My house is pretty much Siri. All my lights, I can light up the whole house with one command, or most of my individual lights, or with the Amazon ones that aren't compatible with the Apple ones. But mostly Apple. I've got the what do they call it? HomeKit stuff pretty much throughout the house. So when I'm in bed, I'm going to turn the fan on. I'm going to turn my light lower or turn it off, whatever, or play music. It can all be done by voice. It's a great time for disabled people in terms of all this technology that was conceived 30 years ago, 40 years ago and beyond, that's now finally, thankfully for me at my age, coming to fruition, you know.
Well, Mike, for a
Really
handicapped person, it's got to be great for you to be able to do it for yourself without having to say, hey, can you help me? Hey, can you do this? Hey, you know, and just do it yourself. It's kind of almost giving control somewhat back to you.
Yeah.
I would be very interested, Mike. I want you to keep us posted on your contact with Scott and let us know how things are working out. I would be very interested in even coming up there and doing a video and hanging out for the day. And if a controller finds its way to you, that would be really great, because I would love to come up there and just focus on you and see what you can do with it.
Yep.
Right. Well, that would depend on whatever, if that happened, or if I were myself under an NDA or something like that too. But yeah, I hope you guys come up here anyway. You know what I mean? You're not far, and it's beautiful up here right now. You guys, a lot more room to fly. So beautiful country.
So, Mike, where are you? So just to,
I'm in Syracuse, New York.
Syracuse, New York. Okay.
Right. I have a nephew. I'm in Southern New York. If you go any further south, behind my back is the Atlantic Ocean.
Right.
I live 4 blocks from the Atlantic Ocean, so to be able to go up to Syracuse, I used to go visit my nephew up in Utica, and that's a 5-hour ride, and he's 300 miles from Canada, the Canadian.
Well, Herman,
1 hour more.
Herman, you're going to be up there in Syracuse when you meet Mark and Val to drive up to Rutgers, right?
Not funny now.
What happened there?
That's not funny.
Well, for some reason.
Well, what am I missing here?
Well, no, Kurt, for some reason, I think Val is trying to get Herman to go up and upstate and meet with Mark and all of them before they head to Canada, or she might be planning to stop here in New York on the way home. On her way back home. That's all I'm gonna say.
Why is it not funny, Herman?
Because he's talking about me traveling to Canada.
Canada, yeah.
With Val.
With Val. Spending 3 lovely days out in the country.
I have to.
The Mini Cooper? Is that the one we're talking about? The Mini Cooper?
Yep, the Mini Cooper trip. Yep.
I would have to agree with Herman. Right about now isn't the best time to leave the country, because you might not be able to get back in. and I'm going to digress on that subject.
I just don't think I'll make it.
Mike, I hope you can work with Scott to make some advances in that area. Gulfstream says, And I seriously do too. Even if the thought is there of right now, he's in a stage where he's in production. He's putting out a product, okay, and it's being sold more and more and more and more and more people are being heard about it. Now, if he can come up with an adaptation for you, Mike, or you, Mike, can come up with something that would make it easier for people who are handicapped, I'm all for it, as long as it's for something positive. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Or there may be no adaptation needed, depending on
What
just,
happened?
you know, being able to, you know, just working on it, a little bit of practice, and who knows, you know?
Yeah, and Mike, if you were to be able to use it, that would go a long ways to talking to other people that are similar handicapped like you. Say, well, here's what I did. Here's what works for me. Try this.
Right.
I want to welcome real quick Twan Lee. Like I said, he's here in New York. This is his first time at Sunday nights with those guys. So hopefully you'll come back more, Twan. All right. He flips drones. You know, some people flip houses. He flips drones. Okay. Plus the fact, hey, Steve Carpenter, how are you? Plus the fact that he repairs them. So that's even smarter. You know, you buy a house with a hole in the wall, you patch the wall and you sell it. If someone gives you lemons, you make lemonade. If you don't drink lemonade, you sell it to someone who freaking does. That's what Twan does.
Hey guys, not to interrupt you, but Carolyn Scott is Scott's marketing manager, and she just texted me and said, yes, great show, excellent content. Thank you. So good job, guys.
I will personally text her. You have me in that group chat. I will personally text her and Scott and thank them both. But you can let her know we appreciate it more than she could ever know.
And Mike, she's got your email now.
Hey Val, you do have a link there. We did send you a link. You can pop in anytime. Anytime you want.
Yeah, we can talk about this trip with Herman and Centroid and Val in a Mini Cooper.
No.
Is this like a real Mini Cooper or the new Mini Coopers?
Central. It would be even worse with the originals. Because the originals are smaller than the ones that they have out now.
They do have a 4-door.
I used to live in Italy, and when I lived in Italy, that was the big car. That and the Fiat.
Right. The original Mini Cooper was much smaller than the car that they put out today, even that little tiny one.
It was a glorified go-kart. And if you've ever lived in Italy and you see the side streets, you could not even get a Ford Mustang down these streets, which is not really a huge car when you think about it, you know. But forget a Cadillac or anything big like that. You could not get, you know, that's what the little Fiat and the little. And they also had the little, what do they call them? The little 3-wheeled trikes as well. That essentially just,
And Herman, Steve Carpenter says hello to you guys.
Hey, what's up, Steve?
But you know what? No car I've seen can out-corner that old Mini Cooper.
Oh, yeah, no. You use that handbrake and going around corners. Ooh, yeah.
No car can out-corner that.
You guys saw The Great Escape. They used 3 Mini Coopers to perform that bank job.
Oh, yeah.
Well, wasn't the Mini Cooper designed after the Ringling Brothers clown cars?
Hey, Val.
Hey.
That was the Yugo.
There goes the neighborhood.
That was the Yugo.
Someone said there goes the neighborhood.
Well, essentially, it was designed to handle the very small streets in like Italy and some of the back roads, and not the back roads, but the city streets in Germany, places like that. And that's where the Mini Cooper kind of came from. I mean, it's a UK car, but when the guys started going to Europe, it was a different story. If you've ever been to Italy, a lot of the coastal towns are built on hills, and their streets look like alleys to us. Mm-hmm. With these, 3-story buildings, but you go there and that's a 2-lane road for them. But we're looking at it going, that's an alley. How do you get down this thing? I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. I've lived there for 3 years. Beautiful, beautiful countryside, beautiful, beautiful cities. But they don't want to modernize anything. So if you're going to get around, you need a vehicle that's going to get you around. And something like the Mini Cooper or the Fiat was the perfect answer for that.
Hey, Barry G's RC. What's up, Val? How are you? And welcome to Sunday Nights with those guys.
Hey, those guys. Yeah, I had to go pick up my rental car, and then I had to go grab stuff because I'm leaving tomorrow on another job that's going to take me a couple days on the road, and then so yeah, it's been a busy day.
Usually,
But it was like I have to get here because
usually,
not heading to work again. What?
usually when you have a rental car, that means you're going far.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not that far. I'm going up 8 hours. I'm going up Coeur d'Alene and stuff. So.
She's
Okay. Well, you miss Scott P, and I say Scott P because
I keep
I'll
missing
never
him.
ever be able to pronounce his name. Now, do you know what's funny? I can't pronounce it now, but I'll be laying in bed and I'll go, Scott
Parazynski.
or whatever his name is. You know,
Parazynski.
Parazynski, what's wrong, Lawrence?
I can't, man. I don't. It's a brain fart. I'm having a senior moment. Parazynski or it's just not sticking. But we appreciate you coming in, Val. Anyway, what's with the shades? Like she's gone.
See? Am I gone?
Your picture's
Hey, Val,
gone.
did you stop and get your quadruple shot of Nespresso?
No, I'll do that when I come home.
Oh.
Hey,
Did you
Val.
even sleep
Yeah.
last
Val.
night, Val?
Herman said he's coming to Canada with you guys.
Here we go.
Hey, Herman. Hey, Mike. Is Mike
So
still
is this a real Mini Cooper that we're going in with Herman? And how's Herman gonna get in this? Is he riding in the back seat? Did you call shotgun, Val?
I tell you, I don't want
They're gonna
shotgun.
tie
if y'all
Herman down
driving.
across the hood like a deer.
So Mike, we're gonna meet you on Monday.
Okay.
Will that work?
On which Monday? The next Monday?
Week from Monday.
Week from Monday?
No, hold on. So I'm leaving tomorrow.
I think deserves a GoFundMe page.
That'd be the 15th, Val. Is
No, it's not because I'm going to Canada on the 17th, and then it'll be after that.
Oh,
so
on the way back.
22nd.
On the way
Yes.
back, 22nd. Okay.
Centroid, we got to know what Mini Cooper this is. We want to know how difficult this is going to be.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not the original one, right?
Let's put it this way.
Ooh.
Centroid said, "Don't bring any luggage."
That's only because he wants to make sure he has enough room for his quads, but unfortunately his quads may not make it. Gave me some weird.
Val is packing a steamer trunk.
Val, don't poke the bear. You don't poke the bear. Centroid's the driver, right?
That's right. He's the chauffeur. Yep.
My wife and I went away for 3 days, and I could not believe the amount of luggage that we brought. I was packing it all up this morning and getting it out of the hotel room. I was like, holy.
You know what, Kurt?
Right?
Herman and I, we went to Atlantic City last weekend, right? Now, tell me why, when I walk out my door, my luggage is nice and packed, and when you're packing to go home, you're like pushing the bag down.
Right.
It just will not freaking close.
Well, there was definitely
2014 Mini Cooper 6-speed manual, fits 2 comfortably, can fit 2 in the back, not realistically, so it could fit 2 in the front and half a child in the back.
That's right.
I just know that there was one that came out.
But I just wanted to say that I am listening. I got to drive, and so
hey, Val,
I'm gonna try not to do this.
Val, like a quick question.
Yes.
What time tonight? 10 o'clock or 7 o'clock?
For what?
Val's life.
Well, Val's life.
It's 7 o'clock.
So,
okay, you're going to be home in time for
so
your
I don't
live
have
stream.
time, so I got to run, guys. I love you.
It's the Wednesday night that you changed to 10.
Keep it under 70, Val.
Okay, got it.
Hey, Val.
Got it.
Val, she got off mine. She just hit 100.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Too fast for the signal.
Yep. Well, last night she ran over a poor old guy with a walker.
Oh jeez.
Please.
All we heard was a thump thump.
Hey Mark, Centroid, you have my sympathy, dude.
Yeah,
that's going to be a hell of a ride to Canada.
Just don't let her drive.
What's going on in Atlantic City? The drone race or the drone expo? That was last weekend, Twan, that Herman and I went. They did cancel the main part of the drone. They started when Herman went to the booth. The guy in the booth said that it was called a drone expo. No, he called from the hotel room. We had already knew that it was canceled, but we went down for the drone racing and the Fly Atlantic City, which, by the way, my video will probably release at 5 a.m. in the morning. I have it scheduled. But Centroid, you've got your hands full, dude, at that ride up there. I'm letting you know, right? Well, I'm sure you know already. and
that's why he was looking for Herman to go along, you know.
And on top of it, then they have the Mark Centroid they call him the drone mule, the battery mule.
Yep.
He's carrying enough lipos across the state line to be stopped just for carrying them.
Well, he in some smaller countries, he would be a utility company, electric company.
I'll be right back, guys.
You're gonna burn for that, Paul. So, Mike, what's good, man? Well, you're a little quiet tonight. Usually, you're not yourself tonight.
I'm good. I was really just interested in. I apologize for being late.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I was really just wanted to hear more about the controller and all that. And but I've had a great week, man. I went to see Peter Frampton and Jason Bonham, the son of the Led Zeppelin drummer, in concert the other night. A beautiful, warm summer evening outdoors. That was awesome. And just a family 4th of July with the family, and a little bit of flying, trying to get some sunsets, but they keep fizzing out on me, you know. And but other than that, man, just having a great time. And it's beautiful up here right now. Just, you know, thank God it cooled off a little bit. It was in the 90s. I'm sure you guys were getting more than us.
We got hit with a few days in the 90s, and this week coming up, I think from Wednesday through Friday, it's supposed to be 89 with the humidity. Of course, that's going to push it past 90 degrees.
Right.
But are they stopping by you? Are they stopping by you before they head up to Canada?
I'm not sure if it's before they head up or after. We'll either Mark and I or Val and I will be in contact to iron that out, so we can. You know, I just want to be able to say hello. I don't want to interrupt their schedule and that kind of thing. But it would be nice to meet those guys, and you know, especially Val from way out of town, and catch her while she's in. How often is she going to be in Syracuse? You know.
That's true. Steve Carpenter says, I notice your computer stream is holding up a lot better than the last couple of times I've seen you on.
Oh, you mean my audio problems and things like that?
Probably.
Yeah. Well, that was with Hangouts before, and I've not had any audio trouble with Zoom.
Mark says that he thinks that you guys are meeting Monday night before she goes back.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
The 22nd.
All I can say is, Mike, have all the cameras ready. Vlog every moment of it.
Right.
I got the Pocket Osmo, man. Osmo Pocket.
I already warned Roger to not take his eyes off of Kim. I can see Kim now duct taped somewhere, and Val running down the street with his drone in her hand.
Yeah.
And if they stop by my house, I got security cameras everywhere.
Okay. That's cool. Anyway, it's 6:38. We have like another 22 minutes. I hope you guys that were in the chat room were entertained. You guys that came in late.
Yeah.
We had Scott Parazynski.
Wow.
Get it right?
Yo, all right.
All right, I got it. Scott
Parazynski.
I just blew it. See, you shouldn't have said anything. But anyway, we had him on from Fluidity, the website. That's his company. And he has the FT Aviator, which is a yoke style controller for DJI drones.
Right.
Everything from the Mavic series up to the M600 series. And if you don't know what the FT Aviator is, Go to that link right there and you'll see. He's an actual astronaut. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe he has done 4 spacewalks, and he's also done the longest spacewalk. What? Phantom
I like that, Herman.
So make sure you check.
Or the way Curtis put it was one of the most dangerous spacewalks. In other words, I believe Curtis can correct me when he comes back, but you know the arm on the shuttle, that they had him all the way out on the end of the arm with the arm fully extended.
Right. He was
Curtis is
tethered
back
to the
now.
arm.
He could he was fixing a solar panel on something.
Before Curtis starts telling him that story, I want everybody to see that evidently Novice is having a dance off. So make sure you.
Hell no, we're not. Don't even start. Don't even try it.
Herman said.
Herman's going to get timed out.
One thing that interests me about the controller, though, is one the use of it and
Parazynski. I think
That's correct.
But is the coming up with the at least in my scenario the cleanest, neatest, and most practical and functional way to come up with a mounting system where everything is kind of cohesive.
Well, see, that's why I believe you would do real good here, because the mounting system that you created to fly for yourself now was ingenious. So if you can come up with a mounting system, plus it has the 1/4-inch bolt in the bottom, I'm sure you could come up with something. For example, this particular mount here on here is a 1/4-inch mount, right?
Yeah.
Now, even if I could break this off or cut this off and put it on top of a table or a platform, that would give it a base.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Or you name it. There is already ready off the shelf a myriad of types of adapters for things. But and Curtis, there's a video in my channel of the setup that I do have.
Yeah, I was going to point. I sent that video to Scott already.
Okay.
That's actually great, Curtis, because I was just going to tell him to point it out.
Way ahead of you guys.
It is a 1/4-20 mount.
A lot of things to remember here for people that are coming in and talking about the product and everything. This is a new company. This is not a seasoned company that's been around for 10 years that has all the steps in process and ready to go. They're reaching out, meeting people. They're developing the product. The focus they wanted to do from the very beginning was to make a product that works. Then from there, and I know that a lot of people are talking about the Crystal Sky and the larger tablets and different ways of utilizing the product. From there, once they've established that this works and it's going to be 100% reliable,
right,
that's when you start building out. If you come in and you try to address everybody's concerns all at once, which is Scott wants to do,
you spend a lot of money.
You spend a lot of money. You make a lot of mistakes trying to repair things, trying to back up and refix stuff. So I think for me personally, I'm really happy with what he's doing. I'm excited about what he's doing and the way that he's doing it personally. If everybody kind of takes that into consideration, as far as, how many times have we gotten a product from DJI and it's just not ready to go? I mean, the original Inspire, when it came out, everybody was excited about it. We all bought them, and then we got grounded for like a month.
You know what the problem is? Everyone is pulling what I call an IBM. I've been in IT for over 30 years, and what IBM used to do, which is Microsoft, was, you remember the old DOS operating systems? Well, they came out with DOS 1.0, right? And then they launched it on the launch date so the stocks would go up, knowing it had bugs. And then after 3 months, they gave you DOS 1.1. And then another 3 to 6 months after that, they give you 1.2. And that does make sense. And you want to get your product out there first and working, as opposed to adding a bunch of add-ons to the firmware to repair issues.
But that seems to be the latest thing nowadays. Everybody puts out a product and then they make it what you want.
Paul, I'm ignoring you.
Advertise it to be with a bunch of firmware. With a bunch of firmware updates.
Well, these guys have come along a lot further than many have in the past. In other words, what they've already accomplished, getting a product ready to go to market and getting DJI to sign on is huge. You know, so they've already accomplished a hell of a lot.
Go ahead. I'm typing something in the chat.
I'm catching up on.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm still typing.
No, I'm just saying I'm catching up on stuff over here too.
I just put in the chat room, there's no dance-offs on this channel at all, but next week, Herman will have a dance-off on his channel.
Oh, okay.
That's
Well,
where we're moving the dance-off segment of those guys to.
Is
to
the
Herman's
Funky
channel.
Chicken an official dance for the? I mean, is that a possibility?
Yeah, unfortunately, Kurt, before you came around, it was embarrassing.
Don't listen to that guy. He's dancing in 2 minutes.
Well, I'm still confused. I don't know who was the break dancer. Was it Herman or was it Lawrence? Because
Herman.
Lawrence,
If you
I carried the cardboard. I carried the cardboard. Herman danced on it.
Oh, if you go back to the original, that original live stream when that first started,
yeah.
I don't know if the chat will replay, but there's a link in the chat to his high school video where they were breakdancing.
Don't believe it, Kurt. He's lying.
It's in there. I
Don't
posted it.
listen to him.
See, that's where I'm confused, Curtis, because Herman says it's Lawrence and Lawrence says it's Herman, and I don't know. Maybe they both were dancing. I don't know.
This could get interesting.
Kurt, leave it alone. Just leave it
Really?
alone.
I mean, just like that, I can't explore the possibilities here, and
there are no possibilities. Leave it alone.
Okay, all right.
Hey, I thought your stomach hurt.
It was until I got on the show.
Curtis, you know what the topic that Lawrence was talking about actually?
What topic was
It
that?
mentioned.
Now here we go.
Scott,
Here we go.
at the end of the interview that I had brought up was the same thing we were talking about that representation in Washington. That's what he was talking about.
Yes. Now, Kurt, if you can listen to Herman for 1 second, Herman, if you can explain to him.
About this already.
You spoke to him. Oh yeah. Okay.
It was him.
I think I was the one that brought it up.
Yeah, we were trying to get
kind of brought it up.
Herman was trying to get Curtis to take that on as a personal mission.
Well, not so much that. It's just that, what my idea was that we all are members of some of the same, Facebook drone groups. We're all members of different Facebook drone groups. How do we get that out there to talk to other, drone pilots? How do we propose that to say, do you think we need this?
Yeah.
Because when I mentioned it on the show, a lot of guys thought we needed it. And, some guys, had their ideas about it. We also had one guy come on and talk a little bit about it. But how do we propose it? How do we push it to the other guys to say?
Well, the sad thing is, Herman, it's just like life. There's those that'll talk about it, and then nobody does anything about it.
Sad but true.
Right.
Well, so I can add a bit to this conversation here. I'm not the first person to discuss this or talk about this. I'm one in a series of folks that are high profile in the drone community that are realizing that we need to do something. The problem is that who will everybody get behind? Because not everybody likes me. So not everybody's going to get behind me. That's all there is to it.
I only had that.
You want me to send money?
Well, Curtis.
No, it's not a money. Well, I mean, eventually, yes, it would become a money thing. But
It would be.
the key thing here is to find that one person that everybody can agree on that can lead us. And then once that person that we agree that's going to, okay, this is the person that's going to represent us to create this organization, then that person needs to start acquiring the correct lieutenants,
put together a team,
build this thing. He needs to build a team, and that's a huge hurdle. It's bigger than what you actually think about. I mean, I've put together teams before to do things, and you go into it with the best possible interest, and everybody says, "Oh yeah, I'm 100%." but then you get the team together, and then all of a sudden you go, oh wait, this guy ain't doing nothing. Well, I need, or he's not delivering on what he needs to do. So
been there, done that.
Right.
Or that's not what I thought it was about. They fragment.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, everybody, you can tell people, hey, there is no money in what we're about to do. Period. There's not any dollars you're going to make. It's all volunteer. And then but then as soon as you say we're going to collect money from members to create this organization so that we can pay somebody to go to Congress no, what do you call that?
Representation or lobbyist?
Lobbyist. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. That we're going to pay this money from members who create this organization to pay lobbyists. Then suddenly everybody's like, well, I have costs involved with me being involved with this, and I have costs involved with that. And then it's like you put money into it, and then suddenly everything gets kind of weird. So
go ahead, Kurt.
I'm all for doing it. And I'm all for supporting, us having a discussion and figuring out who that one person is. I have a person in mind. It's not me. I would like to be a part of it. I would like to be one of the lieutenants involved in it. But it's all about just bringing the community together. And the best way that you're going to do it is find that one initial person that can make that step outwards. Scott Parazynski would be a great guy to do it. He doesn't have the time to do it. He's trying to launch.
That's also what the issue is. And Above and Beyond Drone says he tried $20 that Doug network. Well, I'm going to tell you something Above and Beyond about that Doug network. It's a drone group. Okay. Basically, I don't feel I should have to pay $20 a month, $20 a year to join a group to post where I'm going to fly, just so he could post on his website where to fly. I'm familiar with that group on Facebook. I'm not saying it's a bad group. And he does, the owner of that group, I can't think of his name, but he does have a lot of people behind him in the FAA. But the Doug group is all about money. And they're collecting money from thousands of people around the United States. And I don't see what they're doing for the drone community. Now, that is not necessarily the expression or feeling of everyone else on the panel. That's just me personally.
No,
because when that Doug group member came into NYC Fireborough Drone Meetup, he was like, oh, great pictures, great videos. And then he said, oh, I have this page where you can pay $20 or whatever the amount is of money is, and you can join my network. It's the largest network in the United States. Yes, it is. But he's eaten off of everybody in the United States. And I believe personally, he's not doing shit for the drone community.
That's exactly. I mean, I'm not familiar with him, so I can't say anything. Mm-hmm. But that's exactly the issue that I was describing earlier.
Join our group, Kurt, and he joined our group. And after we said we're not interested in your group, and why should we have to pay you to post and join the largest group in the United States, he started sending trolls into the page. Hey, you're flying illegal, this, and that. You remember that incident, Herman, right?
Yeah, that's your friend, that guy.
That's your friend.
Yeah.
Like Curtis said, things can go really bad when you got people that think they agree on things, and all of a sudden one difference, somebody steps on somebody's toes, it's very tough to pull that sort of thing together. And also, Curtis, I would think the person would have to borrow a phrase from politics, kind of have some gravitas or something like that. Mm-hmm. Someone with some credibility that people are going to listen to.
Or what they'd have to be able to do is walk on water first.
Pretty much. Yep. Pretty much, Paul, because that's the only thing that's going to keep people looking at you.
Yep.
Now, the drone user group, I'm not saying it's a bad group. Apparently, it's profitable for him, but he approached us where, hi, I want to be in your group. And then he said, hey, I have my own group. If you get all of your group members to invest $20 in my group, we will become an even larger group.
Well, hold on one second.
Like about that bull.
That drone user group network. So let me back up. I'm not 100%.
They do have a lot of influential people in their group. They do. They have a lot of people from the FAA.
That's real close to the name. That's real close to the name of the groups that I run, because I run the Drone Owners Network. which is a series of 250 to almost 300,000 members. And are Above and Beyond Drones, are you talking about that group? Because we don't collect any money from anybody.
No, it's not. It's Doug, D-U-G.
Okay, all right.
It's the same thing as an Amway.
Right. You never heard from him. You invested $20 and you didn't hear shit. So basically, even if he gets 100 people to join him for at $20 a head, you just said right there, you joined the group and you haven't heard from them again. Now they have a website that you can go to. I'm not going to pull it up. We're not even going to focus on them. In fact, I'm going to stop saying what I have to say about them, but I stressed how I felt about that particular group. In fact, it was to the point, Kurt, where he's supposed to be here in New York, and we invited him to one of our group meetups. And because he was such a knucklehead, somebody threatened to beat him up if he showed up.
Wow.
You know, it really got critical. And
You guys can't be doing that.
Barry G's RC, thank you for popping in your first time here. Let's diverse from that particular group and get back to what we were talking about. It's 6:55. We got another 5 minutes, then it's time to eat.
Well, you know, here's something. Here's something that some of the smarter people than I am in the on the panel might consider, or on the chat. Maybe we should find an insurance company that wants to take up our cause and offer discounted rates to drone flyers as insurance, but as a sub portion, represent us as well.
That's a very strong possibility. Again, you're
because they would automatically have an in.
You would still need to create a membership of some sort to go to somebody like. And I'm not saying I'm only saying this as an example, as not as a this is the case B. For instance, if we were to create an ensemble of friends who went to State Farm and said, "Hey, we have 100,000 guys that want to create a group, and can we make a group discount purchase from you for insurance? And while we're at it, we'd like to start creating this representation,
right?
Who's going to represent us in, and those numbers wouldn't even be large enough for them to be interested in it. To be honest with you, it would have to be in the millions, which we have that possibility here in the United States of creating that.
But see, here's my thought is that I'm not saying State Farm or whoever, but
right. I'm just using them as a name. That was all.
If you picked an organization that already deals with memberships, they already know how to handle memberships. They already know how to contact and keep memberships involved and all those kinds of things. And you have them develop then a blankety blank drone owners organization.
Above and Beyond Drone says, I'm all for joining a community to pay for lobbyists to support us.
Well, here's the other possibility. A group of us, and this would be easier to do, a group of us would get together and say, what the heck is going on with my phone? It just went crazy.
Glennis says, isn't that what the AMA does?
No. And that's what I was just going to say. If a group of us got together and met with the AMA and said, hey, here's the situation, because right now there are more drone pilots than there are AMA members. That was the big thing a couple of years ago. There were more AMA than pilots and there were drone pilots. But now it's reversed, and it's going to continue just skyrocketing. I mean, drone pilots outnumber everybody as far as what goes up in the air, with the exception of maybe fireworks.
True.
When it comes to what's going up in the air, drone pilots just outnumber everybody. So if we were to create a small coalition that goes and talks to the AMA and says, hey, we want fair and accurate representation, and we would like you guys to help us head this up. We would like to be under the AMA, but here's the problem. We don't want to fly at your fields. There's nothing for it. We're about flying safely, but there's nothing at your field we want to film. So we want to do this with you, in conjunction with you, but you need to expand what you do.
Well, and they've got to give us equal representation on their board.
True.
Exactly.
They don't. That's true, because they don't consider us drone pilots. It sounds stupid, but they don't consider us hobbyists.
They're willing to take your membership money, but they're not willing to represent your interests.
Well, if you have enough guys, go talk to them and say, hey, here's how we feel about this. Are you interested? You can't not look at the amount of memberships that would come in. I mean, and that would be a humongous force that the government would have to at some point say, okay, we have to recognize you now. Because, I mean, you know, when you have that many people going, okay, you know what? You don't want to give us this. We're not voting for you. You're not going back into office. And then it becomes an issue for them. So you have to organize. And probably the best way to organize would be to create a small coalition that goes talks to the AMA, because the AMA is already in the door. We just need to come to an agreement with the AMA and say, hey, look, make it a branch of the AMA. Make it something else from the AMA, but what you're offering us right now is nothing. So we're not going to be part of that. So you either broaden what you're doing or you make a subsidiary or a side thing, but you guys know how to go to the government already. So we could tap into that portion of it is kind of what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, and they could do it, Curtis, by AMA fixed wing, okay? AMA drone pilot, you know?
Yeah. And you know, Glennis, you're correct. The AMA failed miserably at lobbying too, but they didn't lobby for us, but they're also letting down their membership.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're not good at
their current membership is, you know, this whole registration of the planes and stuff that they're using. You know, nobody had to do that before. This all came about because of us flying, and the AMA got swept up in it, and the AMA members got swept up in it, and the AMA just didn't step in and say, "Hey, wait a minute, hold on, this is not cool. Our members have been flying longer than there have been airplanes in the air, and we have a great safety track record." I don't know. You got to find that one guy, or you got to go to the AMA.
We could have another live stream on this and possibly brainstorm of what direction to go in. But it's
I have some guys in mind that I would talk to and bring into the conversation onto the stream and talk to about the difficulties of actually doing this. I want to go on the record though and saying is I don't think I'm the right person. So if anybody thinks I'm trying to position myself to do this, no, I'm not the right person to lead this thing. I'm the right person to support the right person to do this thing, and kind of go from there.
Well, I always thought it was a good topic to bring up, and you know, my thing was there's 17 people watching this. What, 5 of us in on the panel? That's us talking. How do we reach the rest of the drone pilots?
Yeah,
them talking.
You're right.
We need to have another
live
stream on that particular topic. Only because it's 7:01. Val's life is on, and I think we should carry on over to that particular channel to support her as well.
I agree.
And plus, it's dinner time for me.
Yeah, and Curtis,
line screamers.
Curtis, do you go to bed early, don't you, tonight, or would you want to do a live stream after Val?
I got to eat at some particular point.
Yeah, well, Herman's
what I need to get off.
So does
That's
Lauren.
what I need to get off and do right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you guys.
Before we get off, can I do one quick plug for me?
Yeah,
if you don't mind. This coming Saturday after Canadian Drone Life, Canadian Drone Hub goes offline. It's going to be my first official show on my channel. All of you are invited. The concept is pretty easy. Zoom says in the advertising that we can have 100 people on Zoom. We are going to test that and see if we can break it on my first show. We're going to bring on everybody I know and people I don't know and see how many people we can get into this little panel discussion until it shuts down. That'll be my very first show.
Oh, you're trying to crash it.
We're going to see if we can break the internet this coming Saturday, right after Canadian Drone Hub goes off the air. We're going to start up my show. That'll be my very first show.
You know what? I'll be working, but I'll join from my phone. I don't
that will work. That will work. That totally will work.
Join from anywhere and everywhere.
And even if you have two phones, join. I'll start off by sending the links out to the normal folks that we have on the shows that we kind of play around. You guys all here will of course be on the first round of invites, and then at a certain point in the show, we're going to drop a link into the groups and into the chat, and just see how many people we can get on this thing.
Hey, that'll work. I'll post it on Facebook.
Yeah, it'll be fun. As long as somebody doesn't come on and start.
Yeah. One question is how do you control the trolls?
Well, we're not going to be able to. At a certain point, we're going to have to start muting people and stuff like that. There will probably, hopefully we get a bunch of cool people that come on and just have fun with it.
Right.
Before we get to the dropping the links into the whatever. I mean, we don't want to drop links right at first. We want to get as many people as we all know into the conversation, and just kind of go from there and see what happens. I mean, we may hit 20 people and it won't take anymore. You never know.
Because Roger and Feet from Above the Ground, who's in Australia. Unfortunately, you're going to have to watch the recorded version after YouTube saves it. I'm sorry you got the notification late. I actually posted in Facebook while we had Scott. While we had Scott.
Parazynski.
It'll click, of course, when I'm in bed at 1 o'clock in the morning. Scott Parazynski or whatever. You know that's going to happen. But we got to get out of here. I have to eat. And have to carry over
one thing before you go, everybody be aware that the trolls are out there. Roger was attacked yesterday, I believe it was.
That was my drone zone.
Yeah, yes, it was.
He's always attacked Roger.
But they're out there.
Val's Life is on now. Search for it on YouTube. We're gonna stop this stream.
Hey, everybody.
Thank you all for
I just post my email in case you didn't have it there.
I've got them. I just found them all.
All right, we're gonna move over to Val's Life.
Later, everybody check out Val's Life.